Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki Fraser, Rachel Dean, and Rhonda Greenberry, certified clinical aromatherapists, coming to you from Ontario, Canada, and on the internet everywhere. We're excited that you have given your time to be here with us, knowing you'll get the best essential oil scoop. This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. If you want to learn more about how to use aromatherapy with kids, check out the mini courses at www.schoolofessentria.com. Welcome to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. Nikki Fraser here, and I am very excited to introduce Bev Hawkins. Bev has incorporated aromatics and other alternative modalities into her life and practice for over 30 years. She has extensive training, certificates, and diplomas in many different modalities. She first started teaching aromatherapy courses and workshops in 1995, and in 1999 founded the West Coast Institute of Aromatherapy, offering formal aromatherapy certification courses and workshops, although as of December 2020, she has retired from teaching full-time courses. As a practitioner, she loves being able to work with clients in a one-on-one setting where she can take advantage of many skills she has learned and incorporated into her toolbox. Another of the passions is being able to share the knowledge she has gained and continues to gain with others. The Bev Hawkins Membership Club, a subscription club, was created in January 2020 as an avenue to do this in a less formal and more relaxed way. Welcome to the episode. Because you've been around in the aromatherapy world for quite a while, in this episode, we're going to dive into a little bit of any trends that have been seen over the last years. And what I really want to do is also talk about, your membership a lot. It's a fascinating membership. It's something that looks absolutely amazing. And I really, really want to dive deeper into that. But to start with, one question we always ask each of our guests is, what is your favorite oil?
I don't really have a favorite. And that's it. It seems to be the one I'm drawn to the most is always the one I need at a specific time. I personally don't use essential oils every day except in my face products. Mm-hmm. And I try and keep the oils for the times when I really need them, so that they really do work when you need them. But I find if you use, and that might be a challenge for people who start, well, not necessarily a challenge, but something that people do when they start out. They just love the oils and they want them all the time and they overuse them.
Yes.
And
yes,
so I've learned over the years, I personally, everybody has a different sensitivity to the oils. I don't need very much oil for it to work on me. And so I'm very, very sensitive to them. So I use them sparingly. I love the smell of neroli and I love grapefruit. But can I say they're my favorites? They're not ones I use every day. They're not ones I use often, but I love the smell of them.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, should be a quick one-word answer to what's your favorite oil? Boom. But I can't do that.
No, and you know what? Most of our guests can't. And I always love to see what answers come out, because a lot of them is like, well, it depends on what it is today or last week or last hour even. Next hour could be a different one. It's what you're drawn to in the moment or what you're needing in the moment.
I think there's a difference. It's like asking what's your favorite perfume. Most people can come up with it because it's something they use to just enhance themselves for other people around them. But with a favorite oil, it works on so many different levels. You're not just using it for fragrance.
No.
And it makes you feel different and all the rest of it. So, if your favorite oil is rosemary and you use it when you go to bed, good luck sleeping.
Yep. Nope. It's very true. I like it. And I know you mentioned neroli. I know that's one of Rachel's favorites.
Is it? Yeah.
It is. It was one of her first oils that she used that got her into aromatherapy.
Oh, interesting.
She's often shared. Yeah. So I
do enjoy the smell of it. And I got a neroli, the Orange Blossom Absolute. And that is, I'm only using it if I'm making a perfume or something, but that is to die for from an aroma point of view. Anyway,
yes.
Enough of that.
No, that's great. So I'd love to know, how did you get into aromatherapy?
Strange story. I grew up in South Africa. I studied massage therapy or body work in South Africa, got married, had some kids, moved all over the world, and didn't do anything about it. Never heard about aromatherapy. Come back, we came to Canada, we immigrated to Canada, and I was working for a company which was not a good fit. And I was looking for something new to do. And I saw a psychic who told me I wasn't in the right job. Then I thought, no, you're right. And she suggested something like reflexology. And I thought, okay, that marries in with the body work and that I've done, the massage and that I've done before. So I went looking, I was living in Ontario, I went looking for a school to teach aromatherapy. That was in 94. And I, 94, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter if I'm off here.
Yeah.
And I only found one school that was quite close, and they had a reflexology class starting the next month,
Mhm.
an aromatherapy class starting that Monday. And I thought,
Oh, nice.
well, I'll sign up for both. I'll try aromatherapy. Didn't know what it was. Never smelled an essential oil in my life until first day in class.
I love that you just dove right in.
And I was hooked. I think I've heard so many stories from people as to how they got into aromatherapy, and often it's through their own healing journey or whatever. I never needed that. And, back then, I'm sure aromatherapy was around, but it wasn't easy to just walk into a store. There was no aromatherapy stores that you could just even go and walk through. And, we'd lived for a while in Germany, and even there, you can't just walk into the reform houses and buy essential oil. So I'd never come across it until I took the course.
Nice.
So it was, what? Was what I was meant to do. I was guided one way or the other. It's a little bit hokey sounding to some people, but there you go.
No, and I love the fact that it was a psychic who just confirmed that you weren't on the right path and allowed you to look outside maybe a little bit more, expand your horizons a little bit more. I love it when there's the other aspects that.
Yeah. I don't think of my own, things like all the alternative things that I got into afterwards, they weren't really on my radar. I was living in a very sort of allopathic world, let's say, and anyway, I loved it from the minute I started. I still love it. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, stepping stone from one thing to the next to the next. I think too, you probably feel it as well. The more you teach, the more you learn, the more you enjoy it, you're able to share, it's an ever growing profession. So
it is. And like you said, it's a stepping stone, because aromatherapy was, I call it my gateway drug to complementary modalities, because as soon as it was my first thing that I became certified in holistically. And then the reflexology, and then I did Reiki, and then hypnosis, and then mindfulness and meditation. And it just keeps snowballing into more. It's so easy, I find, once you're in one holistic modality, to often start looking at all the other ones and what you can combine it with, and just, marry those practices together and help more people.
Yeah, no, because the essential oils, as you know, are so flexible. They can be used in so many different ways. So
absolutely. And I think that's what's really nice is once you start adding, if aromatherapy is your first one, you can easily see how you can then add in other modalities to help with it. Or if you're already trained in other modalities, you can easily see how aromatherapy can help expand the modalities that you already have. Like, you don't have to do aroma massage or full things, but as long as you're knowledgeable about the safety of essential oils and you have the education, you can add it to your already established practice and have something else to support your clients with.
This is it. I mean, the important thing is the information that you have and the education that you have. That's really is what allows you to move beyond making bath bombs to really doing some great stuff with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now, over the last 30 years, have you seen any kind of shifts in aromatherapy? And especially, 30 years ago, I think back of, like you said, they weren't found in stores all the time. Online education wasn't a thing.
Online didn't exist.
Exactly.
Let's call a spade a spade. There was no online Googles or anything.
You can just Google, what is peppermint essential oil good for? Like you had to go to the library, do research, and that was even limited to any education.
There were a handful of aromatherapy books, a handful. I mean, I now have, I think, every book, well, maybe not quite the latest books, but I feel like I have every single book that is ever published on aromatherapy.
Well, and it was the only way to learn. So you had to,
you do. And then, it wasn't, so from that point of view, the amount of knowledge and the accessibility of the essential oils is huge. With it comes its pros and its cons, because you've got to then figure out how good that information they're sharing is.
Yes.
The discernment in whether that's accurate and who's giving you the information. If I go to a website and I want to see something about aromatherapy, I always want to look behind who's written the article, who's giving the information.
And even in books, I mean, you can go on Amazon or Indigo or wherever you get your books and type in aromatherapy, and you get thousands of hits now for books and ebooks and everything. And a lot of times when I look through, I'm like, this isn't even an aromatherapist. They have no qualifications listed beside their name. And a lot of it is, how to do bath bombs with essential oils, or hair care with essential oils, or weight loss with essential oils. Or it's like these little things that it's like, I gotta question those.
I think the sad thing is that it's become, which is taken away from the practice, the therapy, it's become a buzzword in advertising for fragrance more than anything else. Oh, and it's a feel good, but it smells good. It smells good and it makes you feel good, which is not really, I mean, it does. They don't all smell good. Most of them smell quite all right. But
there's only one that I can't get my nose around, and that's patchouli. Patchouli.
Really interesting.
I'm trying.
You might find over time, you might not need patchouli right now, and over time you might. I had the same sort of feeling way back in the beginning with vetiver. I couldn't stand it.
I loved vetiver from the first sniff.
No, I smelled it and was like, oh, please, not near me. And yet,
I could see that though.
after many years, I'd use it for my clients, and I'd use it if I needed it in a blend. And it was many, many years before I smelled it and thought, quite nice.
But that's me with geranium. And I've shared this on other podcasts too, I couldn't stand geranium for years until my last pregnancy in 2021. As soon as I was using it to help me support through that pregnancy, and especially the postpartum support, it was like my life.
What you needed.
It was. And now I love geranium. I went from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other, from hating it almost to loving.
Yeah, isn't that a good example, even to share with your students, about how you being drawn to an oil is an indication of needing what that oil has? And if you're repulsed by the oil, I've seen people say that, oh, if you don't like the oil, that means you need it. That's a lot of.
I'm torn on that train of thought. So I'm like, yeah, there might be something that's blocking, but in my head, I'm like, I just don't like the smell of patchouli, and that's okay.
I think that's okay. And I will say to you, my experiences over the years, because I do a lot of more subtle work as well. And if you are, I think if you're blocked and you can smell it strongly, it's not going to help you, because you either not going to use the blend, or you're going to build up a negative reaction towards it. So I try with my blends to make them, even if I'm hiding something, I try and make the final blend one that is at least okay.
Yes.
And hopefully pleasant to the person who's smelling it, because then they'll use it.
Yes, absolutely. And we mention this often with our students. The the client's olfactory system needs to enjoy it
Absolutely. And their
because they won't
olfactory
use
system
it.
is different to ours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, everyone wants, if you're making something, especially for someone else, you don't, and especially even for yourself too, though, like whoever you're making it for, you don't want to waste the product. You don't want to have made it for nothing. You, and if you're making it for a client, you want them to have the success to like what you're making. And so
Mhm.
they have to enjoy the aroma of it. If they don't, no one's going to want to smell gross in their own opinion. So they
No,
won't use it.
yeah.
But
Anyway,
yeah.
personal preference is important.
Yes. So if there's, would you say that like any big shifts that you've seen to go back into the shifts of aromatherapy?
I think they're the way that it's practiced, because
Okay.
back when I took my first course, it was very much taught in the way that aromatherapy was taught in the UK with body massage. And for a
Mhm.
long time, well, a few years anyway, I didn't think about practicing aromatherapy any other way than having a client come in, do a full client consultation, create the blend for the moment, and give her a body massage. They'd walk
Okay.
out, they'd drift out, and they'd feel wonderful. Maybe give them some take-home products.
Mhm.
But the shift away from that side of it, from the hands-on therapy to more of an allopathic approach sometimes. There's
Mhm.
definitely, and it may also be because a lot of nurses have come into aromatherapy, but there's definitely a shift in being more prescriptive.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody does, but I definitely see there is one avenue where there is a lot more on the prescriptive side and lots of research. And I'm not against research. I love research in that, but I feel that if you just go down that route, you miss something.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to marry the both, the
Mhm.
clinical science research with the subtle experience and like just the
Absolutely.
experience knowledge that we have.
And I mean, often, sometimes it's that key that unlocks everything is that one drop that you put in because they said something that made you think of something else, and you've hit a core issue that they have.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my experience.
Nice. And one thing that you said earlier made me think of, you know, how you used to do the blend, give the massage, and then they would go on their way. And that's definitely one aspect that I love. I love it when clients come in for an aroma massage because
Mhm.
they're in that Zen zone. And I always feel bad because some of them come on their lunch and I'm like, oh, good luck working in the afternoon. I'm like, you
Yeah.
just like I wouldn't be able to focus, but
Yeah.
I'm like, good luck with that. But
No.
then there's others where I almost compare it to a naturopath, where at least my naturopath, how she functions is
Mhm.
I go in, we do our consultations, and then she makes the recommendation, makes the blend. And I mean, her, it's more, herbs here, go get your herbs, whatever. But it's, so someone comes in and they have XYZ condition. It's like, all right, let's make this roller bottle blend. Like, let's make this balm, let's make this diffuser blend and send them home with that to use on themselves with, and now they know how to properly use them too, which is fantastic. And so I think it's really nice that we can have those different ways of using them and supporting the clients in the community.
Mhm.
So
My only experience has been that fewer and fewer people practicing the way that, practicing everything with the
mhm,
client, with massage, with, it doesn't even have to be massage. It could be with Reiki. It could be with some hands-on application.
mhm,
Spending more time with the client and that sort of thing, as opposed to, okay, works really well for physical ailments. You've got this X, Y, Z. Okay, we'll look this up. We know this is good. You like the smell of this. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
adios.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. And I feel society, because it's so fast paced, they just want to come in. Like a lot of people, when I even mention like, yeah, sure, coming in for an aroma massage, which will help you the most, especially for mood shifting and grounding and things like that. And they don't want to have the time to do that either. They're just like, no, like just like whip me up a roller bottle. And I'm like, okay, I can gladly do that. I would gladly do that. But I'm like, but you're also like doing a disservice to yourself, I feel, some of the clients, because they're not giving their full 100% into what it could be.
Well, I mean, a full body massage, they're going to have to spend a couple of hours with you.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. They don't,
And
there's
they're
such a
gonna have to pay
fast
you.
pace.
They're going to have to pay you for your time
Yeah.
to massage them. Never
Oh,
mind,
absolutely.
So it could also be a cost thing, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's where, we have the options, which
That's
is
right.
nice.
Well, we certainly have loads of options these days. So
Yes. Yes.
I guess that's where one of the shifts has been. We've expanded.
Yes, absolutely. And so now you taught your certification course for several years.
For
I would
22 years. I
22.
closed, I closed school this last December,
Mm.
2022, not 2020. I think you
Oh,
said,
did I say 2020? I'm
I think
sorry.
you said 2020. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
2022. Yes.
Yeah, 2022. And so, yeah, I've been doing that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And so I would love your thought process on the importance of proper education.
Well, the bottom line is that if you want to be able to use the oils effectively and create blends and protocols that are going to achieve your focus or the focus of your client, you have to know what you're doing. And essential oils are complex compounds. And there isn't one oil that fits everybody. There isn't one oil that fits every situation. So in order to really learn that stuff, you either have to do a course or you have to buy lots and lots of books. And you have to buy, like we said earlier, there are lots of books out there that are not worth much. You've got to find the right books and you have to put a lot of thinking into it and really know what you're doing. So the easiest way to be guided through the process is to take a course from a school that's recognized by associations, because then at least they're meeting a certain standard of education.
Yes.
And that at the end of it, you could join an aromatherapy association that will be able to keep you up to date with continuing education, and you can, attend workshops or continuing education programs and that sort of thing through the association. So all depends on how important this is to you and what you intend to do with essential oils. Because if you're just going to make fun products and bath bombs and that sort of thing, well, maybe you don't need a certification course.
Yeah.
But just make sure you know all the safety information.
Yeah. And especially if I think of a lot of parents, just because I work with a lot of parents, and if you're just making, products for yourself and your family, then as long as you have good base knowledge on safety, because the last thing you want to do is rubbing neat oils all over your newborn baby, which I've seen before.
Yep. No, I know. I've heard it too. And that's the whole thing. When it comes to children, it's a whole new level of safety.
Yeah.
And I don't know, people, well, I know where it started, but we won't go there. Oh, yes. It's natural. It comes from nature. It's safe. Well, no, not everything that comes from nature is safe.
No,
I was like, doesn't mean it's safe.
No. Yeah. And I always like to say poison ivy comes from nature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not rolling myself in poison ivy. My son and I only had it around my ankles, but my son was covered literally from neck to toes in poison oak summer ago, and it took weeks for him to recover. And it was just, we were playing hide and seek in the forest, and it's natural. We were in with the plants. Doesn't mean it's safe and good to use though, and rub all over ourselves.
I think one of the things that still surprises me, how intelligent thinking people will suddenly turn off that analytical side of them and just believe what so-and-so says about essential oils without checking it themselves, without understanding why they're saying that. Oh, well, so-and-so said that, so it's got to be right.
Yeah.
I guess we're in the age of influencers and that sort of thing. People follow them blindly.
Yep. And I mean, and because there's often different thoughts around things, and if you already have your trust in that one person, you're hoping that they're relaying trustworthy information, but unfortunately that isn't always the case. And that's where, right, we go back to the book example of who's sharing this information. Are they credible? Are they certified? Are they, and like to circle back to the association that you were mentioning earlier, you know, the importance of being part of an association, because
Right.
that is what gives someone credibility.
That's
They've
right.
stayed up to date with the current information. They have the CEUs. They are, you know, at that point, they should be someone who is well respected, and they should know what they're talking about if they're part of an association.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
But you know, I mean, even accredited people have different theories and different
oh,
ideas. So I
yes.
do believe it's really important not to suspend your own judgment, to use those gifts that you have, that knowledge, that life knowledge that you have. And okay, this one says this one says that. What do I think? Weigh it up.
Yep.
Why are they saying that? Weigh it up. And that's all part of some kind of education, whether that's self-education or whether it's reading reading lots of books or taking somebody's course. Let's face it, anybody who took my course or was taking your course, they're going to get our personal
Oh, yeah.
take on
Spin
things.
on it. Yep. Yep.
You know, they're always, I mean, that's always going to be the thing. So I've always said to my students and grads, I want you to understand what you're learning. I don't want you to just say, oh, Beverly says, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
So,
And we
yeah,
always tell our students too of, okay, and once you've graduated, you're going to put your own spin on things from your own experience that you've then
yeah,
experienced with the oils, and can share your stories that they've had, and all of that.
exactly. But of course, that means that somebody's gone and taken a certification course.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But I find it is interesting when you can put in a room 100 aromatherapists, and they'll all have different views and different recommendations on the same blend or the same condition that someone's going through and want support on. And it is like you said, it'll just, you then have to see what you're in alignment with, what story we're going to go with, you want to follow, what recommendation you want to follow, and go from there. And
Yeah,
some
I
of
mean,
that have to
that's
come
why
back
you
to the
go to the
person.
client, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right. You could have a client in front of the class, could take in a class, you could take a case study in front of however many aromatherapists you want, and you'll come up with however many aromatherapists are in the room blends. That's right.
Exactly.
Because they'll all hear something different, and they'll bring their own knowledge and experience to the table
Absolutely.
and make the choice. That's where we're lucky. I mean, there isn't just one oil for headaches and one oil for sleep. We got loads of them, so we can mix and match and play. And
Yeah. And especially when you can't use one oil for either because of medication or a health condition, or you just don't like the aroma, you have other oils to pick from.
plenty
That's
of
the
others to
beauty.
go with it. That's the
Yeah,
wonderful thing about it, for sure.
it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are trying to spread the word about the safe use of aromatherapy to as many people as possible. It only takes 5 seconds to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to us, and it helps us become more visible. We appreciate your support. And so now, over the years, have you noticed a concept that some people just have a hard time grasping?
Um, I can't really, I've had many hundreds of difficult, silly questions and things people don't, and they're never going to intend to take my course, but they'll phone me anyway because my website is
Yes.
there. And
Yeah.
The West Coast Aromatherapy website had lots of articles and information and that sort of thing. It's gone now, but at the time, I could point them to that. But I think that is what we talked about just now. The biggest thing that I see is people suspending their own judgment. If they think about it, if they look at it and you spell it out for them, these are complex chemical components. We're not all the chemical components will go through the skin. Not this, not that. You've got to think about that thing. Now, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And so from a point of view of concepts that aromatherapy does X, Y, Z, and you can do this and that, and in a classroom setting or in a course setting, I haven't really found any particular area that somebody has a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
I've always just felt it's my job to explain it in a way that somebody understands it and gets it. So I'm not sure if you also have a lot of foreign language students taking your courses.
We're worldwide, so we do have quite a few students who English isn't their first language.
Yeah, and I certainly had, my share of those as well. And so, there are, I mean, some of the concepts are a little convoluted perhaps, or you use big words or the rest of it. So you got to find a way to explain it to them.
Yeah.
It just takes that, but they have to ask a question. You know what? If somebody just takes what you say and doesn't say anything, then you presume they've understood.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I'd get really surprised when they'd send in stuff, and I'm looking at them thinking, they just haven't got it.
Yep.
They just haven't understood. So then I'll spell it out in another way and another way. I know I've certainly spent hours answering emails to students' questions. And then suddenly the penny drops. But as a global one sort of thing that a lot of people have problems with, not really, except as I say, just relying because they think they're an expert, relying on somebody else.
Yeah. And like you said, when that aha moment, when you see a student grasp a concept, I love that aha moment. I'm thinking of one in particular, and it was a blending situation, and she just couldn't wrap her head around proper blending for the proper dilution. And she was just like, well, how do I know? And like, we have all the charts, we have everything, but she didn't want to rely on the charts, and you shouldn't have to rely on the charts.
If you're certified, you shouldn't have to rely on charts.
Exactly. So it's like, and it was like that moment when it clicked, it was just like her whole face just changed. She's like, I get it. I'm like, yes.
They get to a point where they become their own expert.
Yes, absolutely.
But you need to go through training to get to that point.
Yeah.
I know some very confident people who think they're experts who aren't.
And there's a difference between, you need to be confident when you're out there, and then even if you like, because you can have imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of people go through. So you need to almost fake it till you make it, which is different than not actually having the information and portraying that you do.
Well, as long as you stick to, I mean, nobody can control anybody what they're doing once they've left your course now, but as long as you work within your scope of practice and your scope of training, you're not going to have a problem.
Exactly.
It's when you try and go outside your scope of practice or your scope of training and you don't know what you're doing, and we'll just add 10 drops of peppermint to this. Need to just swallow it down on a sugar cube.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that would be not the best. So, no, that's great. And now what I'd love to do is dive deep into your membership program. I would love it if you could share with our listeners all about your membership program.
Well, I started the membership program in 2020, January 2020. And it was partly, as I say, I mean, I've been teaching for so long. I know the importance of everything. I enjoy everything. But the areas that I enjoy the most are working with the clients and the subtle side, and really understanding the essential oils at very many different levels. I love meditation, and I love drawing oils for the meditation, and I like the energetics. So the membership club grew out of my passions, let's put it that way. And I wanted to be a place where one could be relaxed, learn information. You didn't have to set a monthly subscription, so you don't have to sign up for a long period of time. You have access to everything in the club as long as you remember. But people can work through it at their own rate. So it is a very relaxed, comfortable way. There are videos and downloads. But we start every package, each month's package is exactly, well, it's not exactly the same, it follows the same format.
Yeah.
We have the sort of welcome to the month and what we're covering. We have an energetic portion of the package, and it's a short video, and it changes each year. We've done in the first year, I can't even know which was which. The first year, I think we did the zodiac signs and creating a blend for each zodiac sign. The second year, we did the I'm sorry. First year we did the energetics around the month. So
Okay.
and the oil and the flower and all that. The second year we did the zodiac signs. The third year we did the Chinese zodiac.
Okay.
So we did a different one of the animals each month. And this year I've started with goddesses.
Oh.
So we have the first two are published, and March will be coming up in just a couple of days. So that's the first little bit. So for people who enjoy that kind of thing of creating blends for things like that, for like your zodiac sign, or creating a blend for the energetics of anything, these can be, and I think that they can be interesting because they interest me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, and I know I remember when I first came across it, I was like, oh, these are all the things I love also.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
everything that I love. And I'm like, and especially because you do a meditation each month also.
Yes.
A different meditation each month. And
so each part is a little bit separate in that's the first part. The second part, for the first 3 years, I did a condition. I chose a condition. We go through explaining exactly what it was, quote Mayo Clinic and all the rest of it. And then I'd go through the aromatherapy approach and how I would do it. And I shared case studies on it and blends and research. And that's the second part of the package. The third part of the package is an essential oil. And we dive deep into the essential oil. Give them a mini profile to download and sort of a mini sort of video on the general part of the thing. And then the rest of the video is on the more energetic thing, and bringing in other therapies like color therapy and reflexology and crystals and that sort of thing. Chakras and TCM as well. Bring in stuff from mind therapies, like when I say mind therapies, I'm thinking of like Louise Hay, or you've got a backache. Well, you could try, if you understand this. Anyway, so that's part of the conditions. The third part is, that was the first part, the second part. The third part, that's the essential oil. And then we have, on camera, I've got my essential oil cards that I created for the club to do this. So shuffle the cards up and randomly choose 3 oils, 3 cards. And then from those 3 cards, we go through the blending exercise. And I share what I share, what I've done, because I'll create the blend. And then I'll leave it up to, I'll suggest to them, play around with it, see how you go, but giving them some guidance. And sort of that's the blending part. And then I create a meditation based on that blend.
Okay, nice.
And so that's that rounds it out.
So now I'm curious, when you mentioned your essential oil cards, are those cards that other people can access? Like, have you made those to buy? Oh, nice.
But not from me. I actually did it through, can you see them?
Yep. Oh, beautiful.
So, and they got back like that. And
nice.
So, I tried making my own on little, like business card or cardstock and that sort of thing. And then I found a company that would print them on order. And so I do them that way. And I just,
nice.
I've got a link on my website. People can go directly and just buy the cards there. It gets sent directly. If they pay the company, it gets sent directly to them. And eventually, once every 2 years or so, I might get a little royalty or something.
No, that's great. And we'll have the link to those in the show notes also, because I know we have quite a few people, because we do card pulls every now and then in our groups. But both deck of cards that we use are actually from Australia. Both the authors are in Australia. So they're really, really hard to get here in Canada, and almost impossible to get here in Canada.
Jennifer J.
Yeah, she's one of them that we use.
Yeah, and who's the other one?
Monica the Enchantress.
I
Wow.
haven't seen those. I thought I've got 1, 2, 3. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 card decks, but I haven't.
For just on essential oils?
Uh-huh.
Nice, nice.
But I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it was one that Rachel had. I don't know where she got it from.
Mhm.
And then I borrowed it from her 2 years ago, and it's still in my repertoire of to do pulls from. And I love both decks.
You know, the thing is, yes, I used Jennifer Jeffries cards for a long time, and I would find it worked really well for you know, if somebody was just coming for a relaxing massage and they didn't really want to do a long consultation and they didn't feel like doing too much, they either go through the cards or pull 3 cards, and it was always the right blend. So yeah.
I loved using it that way. Or even just for myself sometimes where I'm just too much in my head, and I'm like, okay, just what do I need today? And I'll just pull a card, and I'm like, perfect. And it's funny. I think one of my best stories of using essential oil cards is I had pulled one, and it was it was rosewood.
Okay.
And I shuffled the deck 3 times. I had my kids shuffle the deck, part of that. 3 times in a row, I pulled out rosewood. And then finally I told the deck, I do not have rosewood. Stop showing me rosewood. And then I pulled sandalwood. It was. I'm like, because when some people are like, oh, and I'm like, oh, no. Like, for me to pull rosewood 3 times in a row.
No, that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. When I shuffled it and my kids shuffle, I'm like, no, there's something there that was clearly happening.
So did you go and buy some rosewood?
No, I didn't actually for quite a while.
I mean, it's you know, if you're going to go to the conservation side and that, it's probably not these days. You shouldn't have rosewood and that sort of thing too much.
That's why I was like, I don't have it.
You could try whole leaf, but I don't think it has the same energetics.
No. And no, and that's why I literally just told the deck, I'm like, don't show me that one again. I don't have it. And instantly, as soon as I put that out to the deck, I got a different card, and I was like, perfect, thank you.
Maybe you just need to take rosewood out the deck.
Yeah. No, it was funny, but yeah. And so, and if people want to learn more about your membership, where is that on your website also, I assume?
It's all on, if they go to bevhawkins.com, there's a link for the workshops and there's a link for the membership, and it's all there. The membership has been going now. We've got, as I say, since January 2020. So we have got a package for every month for 3 years. There's a welcome package, which I always recommend people go through first. And there's some free gifts in there and that kind of stuff. A video on blending and an ebook on recipes and things like that. And I finally put in, towards the end of last year, I put in a package that actually is like an index, because as I said to you, each packages, it's just titled January 2020 package kind of thing. And it's got these 4 lessons in it. But it can be, as the packages get more and more and more, it can be difficult to find if you're looking for something specific. So I also have a table of contents now that will have a link. Oh, I want to know more about arthritis. Click, and it takes you right to the lesson.
Oh, nice. So that will really help members.
Which is helpful. And what we find is that some people will do the package from start to finish every month, and other people prefer to just hop around when they've got time or when they feel like it. I do have the association here in BC will give a 1-hour CE credit for each of the packages completed. But in order to get it, to get the certificate to download, you actually have to go through everything in the package. And once you've gone through all the 4 lessons, the certificate will come up for you.
Oh, nice. That's great.
But my creation of the membership club wasn't really aimed at being a CE source for associations. It's a nice add-on, but
I was going to say, that's just a nice bonus benefit of associations And I'm sure most associations would probably recognize that.
Yeah,
I
I
know
just haven't, formally gone through the route with some of the others. It's sort of like they can download the certificate and they can try.
Yeah. Well, I know the other two that we're part of, that's as long as we have a certificate by recognized aromatherapist, they'll accept them.
Exactly. That's all they need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them don't need a lot more. So yeah, so it was meant to be the club. I had hoped it to be more interacting and people would chat more and question more, and that hasn't happened, but it's okay. I know that people are getting a lot out of it. From time to time, out of the blue, I'll get an email and it's okay, good, yeah, I'll keep on doing it.
That's amazing. I think
Yeah,
it
because you
looks
sometimes wonder if you're
fantastic.
just doing it for yourself. I'm having fun here.
Well, and it is, I mean, if you're not having fun, I don't think you would continue doing it.
You don't want to.
So,
No,
so
yeah,
I think you must be having fun and people are benefiting from it. So
yeah.
that's the most important part of it too.
No, I do love it. I mean, it's my take, it's my experience and that kind of thing, but I share a tremendous amount of information. I tend to overshare information rather than undershare information.
No, I'm the same way typically too. And
So,
the fact that they have the access to all the past years also is a huge benefit also.
well, this is it. I mean, it started growing, but the membership is only $15 a month, Canadian. And it's they have access to everything that's published there within the membership club.
So that's amazing.
So as I say, it grows every month. Yeah. I did have somebody who canceled their membership and then said she wanted all the packages. I said, no, you didn't buy them.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way.
No, you bought
with
access,
membership.
like just like Netflix, you bought access to them.
And I find some people have a hard time grasping memberships. And it is, I often say, the Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever it is, it's while you're paying, you have access to the information. When you stop paying, you lose access to that information. That's
right.
how a membership works. It's if you want continued access, you need to be a member.
That's right.
So absolutely.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So any parting words for our listeners?
No, I just think the important thing is essential oils are a real blessing, but they have to be used with knowledge and delicacy and wisdom, and I'm using words that sort of mix together. But then do your homework, study, check it out, check your information, check who's said what you're reading, see if you agree with them. And if you find a book or a website that doesn't have any link to who the author is, and you can't check on that person to see whether they have the knowledge that one needs to be able to share this sort of information with authority, then it may or may not be okay. But I would rather turn to something that you can check in on and say, okay, yeah, they've got this experience and they do this and they do that. So yeah,
no, it's fantastic.
A trusted source.
Yes. And now if anyone wants to get in contact with you, join your membership, get your cards, what is the best place for people to reach out?
Beverly.Hawkins@telus.net.
Perfect. And we'll have that in the show notes. And are you on social media at all?
I'm on Facebook. We have the Bev Hawkins Membership Club on Facebook and on Instagram and in LinkedIn. So
great. And we'll have those links also for people to follow you. And I know I often see your posts on Instagram. I always like your posts. They're great.
Yeah. Well, I have it. I usually do them ahead of time. I create a post for every day, for 6 days a week anyway, sometime for the next year, and then I have them ready to go. And it's the same post that gets into all the social media. But
yeah, that's the way to do it in business.
What? Yeah, no, I've done it for a long time, so keep doing it.
Great. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes, the Essential Oil Scoop. I'm Nikki here with Beverly, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. You can join the free Introduction to Essential Oil course at www.schoolofessentria.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think will enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, please go over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review, and you will be entered into our monthly draw for a free mini course.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply to you directly.